Radhe Radhe bhai. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Shyam bhai.
Today I'm the host with Sandhya ji, as always.
Okay.
So welcome to the session today. Nitin bhai, over to you. I guess we are on time today.
Yes, we are on time. So thank you, Smita ji, and Arishi for a wonderful session like always. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you all are doing great and excited to be back. I certainly am, like every day. Today we'll continue on our journey on the current shloka and discuss what is the biggest barrier that we have. Ironically, we all can relate to it, and intuitively we know it as well. So let's get started with our opening prayers and then we'll get into the deeper discussion for the topic today. So let me share my screen, then we get started. All right, we'll get started by invoking blessings from God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening once again. Welcome. So let's get started. I'm going to recite the shloka and you're welcome to follow along. Sarvanindriyakarmani pranakarmani chapare atma sanyama yogagno juhvati jnana deepite. All right. Who are the holy ones today?
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
सर्वाणीन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते. Radhe Radhe.
You seem super prepared today, Samji. Very nice. All right.
Radhe Radhe.
Take some more hands.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Sarvani indriyakarmani pranikarmani chapare atma sanyama yogagno juhvati jnana deepite.
Wonderful. Very nice, Sandhya. Who's the next?
Radhe
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma samyama yogadnau juhvati jnana deepite.
Very nice, Venkatji. Radhe Radhe.
Udayji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Sarvan indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma sanyamya yogagnau juhvati jnana deepite. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Sujayji. Radhe Radhe.
Shiramya ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Sarvanindriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma sanyama yogagnau juhvati jnana deepite. Thank you.
Very nice. Glad to have you back, Shri Ramya. Had a bit of a break. All right. Who's next?
Payalji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Payalji.
Radhe Radhe.
सर्वाणीन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे
आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नो जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते. Radhe Radhe.
Palji, you need to reserve your place towards the end to sing Shama An Bano Vaso Vrindavan
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, bhai. This
Meri
last evening, yeah.
Umar Beet Gai Gokul Mein. We need to hear that from you. Please do, please do reserve your spot for that today. All right, let's move on. That was a beautiful rendition, by the way. Let's move on.
Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Pragi ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
सर्वाणि इन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयम योगाग्नो जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते.
Very nice, Pragi ji. Radhe Radhe. All right, let's take a few more hands and then we'll get
Rahul
started.
bhai, Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Rahul.
सर्वाणि इन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयम योगाग्नो जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते.
Very nice, Rahul. All right, last three hands.
Subesh Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe 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 everyone. सर्वाणीन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते.
Very
Radhe
nice,
Radhe.
Manshi. Radhe Radhe. All right, last two hands.
Ashna ji, Radhe Radhe.
I have
Radhe Radhe. Sarvani indriya karmani pranakarmani chapare atma samyama yognau juhvati gnana deepite.
wonderful. Very nice, Akshata ji. Last
you, sir.
but not the least, Riya ji. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
सर्वा इन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते.
Wonderful.
Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much, Riya ji. So let's get started. We don't have any more hands, right? Okay. So let's get started. The short translation for this shloka goes like, some inspired by knowledge offer the functions of all their senses and their life energy in the fire of the controlled mind. And we spoke about the gating or the entry criteria or the eligibility to get a foot in the door in the marg of Gyan. That is what we spoke about. Today we'll go a little deeper into that. We'll speak about this concept and the barrier or the biggest enemy that we have to encounter on this path. Okay, that is what we are going to. You would know that, but we'll still formally go through that. So let's get started. Quick recap. So this is what we're going to tackle, the biggest barrier on this path of spirituality that we have, and the impediment, so to say, that we need to take care of. Once we take care of it, rest all will follow. So quick recap so we looked at the paths, right? There are yogis who follow the path of discrimination, the Gyan Yoga. So now through knowledge, they exercise vivek or discrimination around it by withdrawing their senses from the world. And that is the path in the Gyan Yoga where they do the contemplation and withdraw their senses. And Hatha Yoga, we said that it's like the brute willpower that you exert to deny your senses. That is another path. Like Swamiji tells a beautiful story. If he went to Yamunotri and their people were subsisting in minus 30-degree temperature, right? So Yamuna is known as a daughter of sun god. So there are kunds there. The people who would travel, they'll put rice and stuff like that, and those people will cook in that water and eat it. But through the process of their tap or the austerities that they have performed, scantily clad, they can just live in those freezing temperatures as well. Even Baba Ramdev, if you look at it, he doesn't wear much. even though he travels around. So it is possible because our body has Agni as one of the components, right? So people, when they are in perfect harmony with the forces of nature, they can harness it. You can levitate in air, you can harness that, so they can create so much of heat that will allow you to do that. Those are the siddhis that you can get, even those powers when you do some of these yogas. So Hatha Yoga is about denying your senses. Then we went further into the Gyan Marg part of it. It means the deep contemplation you do, the nature of the world, that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this senses, right? Soham concept, that, I am the divine itself. And then they meditate upon that, they withdraw their senses, and then the 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 key vakyas of Gyan yogis are like Tattvamasi, and then Aham Brahmasmi, right? And then they contemplate upon the fact that they are God themselves. They're forgotten, and then once they wake up from this dream state, they are God. Then they're capable of showing cosmic form and pretty much doing everything that God does. Okay, that is the belief system Gyanis have. Then we said, oh, all right, Gyan Yoga is a bona fide path. It's illustrated in Bhagavad Gita, one of the bona fide paths. But is it even practical in Kalyuga? That is what we were trying to tackle. And we looked at, what Sri Bhagavatam has to say about it. Sri Bhagavatam, which is the fruit, basically, ripened fruit of all the scriptures, says success in the practice of Gyan Yoga is only possible for those who are at an advanced stage of renunciation. So people who are on the path of Gyan, they need to be in the advanced stage of renunciation to even stake a claim for eligibility on this path. And we looked at a few aspects of it yesterday. Let's do a quick recap. In fact, I'm going to introduce all the aspects that need to be met, criteria that need to be met for you to be eligible on this path. So the entry criteria is what we were looking at, right? This gate is closed otherwise for you, unless you meet these entry criteria. And we said it starts with two V's. One is the Vivek, discernment, discrimination. What is the discrimination? That what is real, what is unreal, what is temporary, what is self and what is not self. You need to really have it ingrained in your head to even practice this, right? It's not that you are in the conception of being a body and at the same time you are practicing Gyan Yoga. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. And then the next part of it was, like, we picked up a quotation from Swami Shivanand, who said that only when the mind is absolutely free from attachment of all sorts, knowledge begins to dawn. So basically the same thing. Vairagya, you need to have that Vairagya where you sufficient detachment, advanced stages. The word that has been used in Bhagavatam is advanced stage of renunciation. So although they might not have perfected it, but you need to be in the advanced stage of these. So let's look at all the criteria now. Okay. And then it is called Shat Sampat, 6 virtues. So Gyan Yoga entry criteria, so to say. Okay, what are these 6 virtues? Let's look at that. You will be able to relate to it because we have to progress in these even in the path of devotion as well. But they are not like a prereqs for you to even practice Bhakti Yoga. They are not prereqs, but in Gyan Marg they are. So these mental practices, they help you stabilize the mind and emotions and further develop ability to see beyond the illusions of Maya. What are these 6 ones? Let's quickly do a recap of that. The Sham and Dam. Okay, Sham and Dam we spoke about. It is tranquility, calmness. Sham, basically, control of mind is the ability to keep the mind peaceful through moderating its reaction to external stimuli, as we spoke about it yesterday, right? The reaction and the ability to respond. This is one of the key things Swamiji has also focused on in his mind management techniques, right? Ability to respond. But you need to be in the advanced stages of this already to be practicing Gyan Yoga. In Bhakti, that is not the criteria. You will advance in it over time. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But that is not restraining you if you're not in the advanced stages that you can't even practice Gyan Yoga. Because Gyan Yoga, you are taking the ownership of progression in your own hands. So this is something that is needed to begin with. Dam is the restraint aspect of it, where you are restraining, you have a very good control over your senses. And you don't fall prey to every allurement of your senses, right? That horse model, you remember, The horses cannot have a free hit. You have sufficiently tightened reins around it. Okay, that is called dam. What is the next one? The next one is, okay, so I spoke about this. The next one is uparati. Uparati is called the withdrawal or the renunciation. Okay, it is the abandonment of all those activities that are not one's dharma. Having a minimalistic lifestyle and limiting your exposure to the world, all the distractions from the spiritual path, that is called uparati. You should be practicing it actively. Not only practicing it, but you should have gained sufficient mastery over it for you to even be practicing, harbor any ambitions of practicing Jnana Yoga. The third one is endurance, titiksha, endurance or forbearance. Again, you can relate to this concept in Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna was talking about Shitoshna Samadukha Sukhada. That shloka is there where you say that you need to be able to forbear and tolerate the external non-conducive situations that are considered to be produce suffering to normal minds. We immediately become, suffer. Why did this happen? Get into a complaining mode or have a certain desires, like they say, hankerings and aversions. So you need to rise above that. So that is another aspect of it. The fourth one is the shraddha. In this path also, you need to have a shraddha, faith. In whom? In the words of the Guru. In this path also, you need a Guru. So you need to have a good amount of faith there, because Guru is indispensable on the path of spirituality. So you need to have nishtha, shraddha, faith in Guru's vakyas and also in the scriptures. The next one is samadhana, focus and concentration that is needed. Very focused. That focus is razor sharp, basically, where you proceed with what do you call that, unadulterated drive. It's like a vegetarian passing through a fish market. He just knows where he needs to go. He'll not even get distracted with that. Okay, and your mind is not multi-branched where it is getting distracted with tons and tons of things around. So that is also needed. And the last one is mumukshutva, which is longing and yearning. For what? God? No, liberation in this case. Okay, so you long for liberation. What is that longing? It's like longing one of the analogies that Swamiji tells in the Bhakti Marg, but I think that longing would probably apply in in this context as well, is like you take a person, put that person's head in water, okay, and keep putting it in water, and then after a while you take it out and then again put it in water, and you keep holding him, and then he starts moving his hands, and then when you take him out, that person says, if you had kept me there for one more kshana, okay, kshana, anyway, we'll get into the definition of kshana and all that, and one more second, let's say, my life years would have left me. So the same intensity or the same feeling when we need to have for Guru, God, that okay, 1 second more, if God, I don't see you, my life years will go away. That is called the longing or the yearning aspect of it. So I believe that is the similar kind of a yearning that a Jnani needs on the path of liberation as well, where they reject everything and that becomes their sole focus or the epicenter of their life. Now, it's a self question, of course, for people. How much mastery they have over all these things, right? So that is why in the age of Kali, it is said it's probably fooling around with you if you think you're going to progress on this path. And Yuga Dharma is called Hari Nams and Kirtan. Just take God's name and take. So that is the way to go. And even otherwise, it is in Krishna's opinion. Krishna is very humble. He doesn't say, I'm telling you. He says, in my opinion, the topmost yogi is bhakti yogi anyways. So regardless of which path you take, finally you have to do bhakti only. Yes, Lakshmiji, you had a question before we proceed further?
Would you please explain Titiksha again?
Okay. Titiksha,
thank you.
Forbearance, right? When you are able to tolerate things, when things are not going fine, rather than getting into a complaint mindset, you simply bear that with an understanding, with a knowledge that this too shall pass. This is God's way of testing me, or I need to have a prasad buddhi around the situation and circumstance that I am subjected to. That's called just tolerate. So that power of tolerate, see, we don't have to tolerate happiness. Do we have to? We have to tolerate things which are non-conducive. Happiness, we don't have to tolerate. We ride that. So God says just tolerate, because life will always have ups and downs, pleasures and pains, hot and cold, that like. So when you go to the other side, don't get into the trap of aversion or dvesh, that, okay, this should not happen, or why did this happen, or why God is doing that to me. I'm the most wretched, unfortunate person. People around me are happy. These are the kind of mindsets we don't need to get into. And if we can simply tolerate, it actually endears us to God. Krishna says that. He says that that person becomes dear to me, because now we are trying to align to the higher principles that Krishna has laid out beautifully in Bhagavad Gita. So that is called titiksha. Now, Agyani, in bhakti, you are progressing with God's help. In case of Gyan, you need to have reached a sufficient maturity level already in all these things for you to even get an entry into. And then finally, you anyway have to do bhakti. So it's a mission impossible in Kalyuga. Let me put it that way. Okay, 99.9% Gyani part is like it's impractical, highly impractical, and not doable, and definitely not recommended in the path of Kali. Like I said, it gives us a sense of satisfaction. We are doing something, right? That pride is there, and that pride gives us a sense of accomplishment. Now, if that pride is towards God, then it makes sense. You can have pride that I'm taking help from God. That is a good pride. Like Hanumanji had that pride. Today's Tuesday, Hanumanji, I don't know why he came. Like he said that there's a famous verse. He said that as abhiman jai as abhiman jai jani bhore main sevak raghupati pati more. So if you're taking help from God or you're doing service for him and you have that pride, that is fine. But Gyani has a different kind of a pride. I'm very scholar, I understand Vedas, I've read this and that, I recite Bhagavad Gita end to end every day, Vedant Sutra is like the back of my hand, and I'm having these realizations, all that stuff, because pride cannot be quelled or overcome by that. I think Samji had asked me, Vidya and Avidya Maya, I'll touch upon that concept a little more in detail. The concept there is that for Gyani also, by their efforts, they cannot overcome certain elements like Mahan, Ahamkar aspect of it, which comes under the Vidya Maya aspect of this material creation. So for that, they have to surrender to God. Patanjali Yoga Sutra also talks about that concept, right? Ishwar Paridhana. So surrender, without surrender, you really can't proceed even in this path. I see one more hand. Yes, Ganapriya ji, you had a question? Ganapriya ji, you have a question?
Yes. Radhe Radhe, I would like to know the difference between Dam and Uparati, because both that is control of senses and this is withdrawal. What is the difference between withdrawal and control of senses?
Yeah, so Dam is restraint, like Daman of your senses, basically. And I think, as I understand, I've not really gone into the depth of each one of these, but at least from the surface, the way I understand it is, Dam is restraint of the senses, and Uparati is more about being minimalistic and simplifying your life, as opposed to having unnecessary exposure or having a mindset of accumulance. Basically, you keep on accumulating stuff around it. So you basically withdraw and renunciate a lot of things and basically go to, I think Patanjali Yoga Sutra also talk about this concept where you say you become minimalist, simplify your life. So that is the concept there, where you simply you limit your exposure to the world and to the material objects to the extent that is needed for your existence and not beyond that. Okay. That is at least at the surface. If there's a deeper meaning, then I can check it out and let you know if you can put it on the feedback tracker. But at least what I understood from the surface of it, this is what it is. Hope that helped a little bit at least, and Priyaji. Okay. Now let's move on. So when these are in place, including control over mind, then one is an adhikari or rightful candidate to start the journey of Gyan Yoga. So the first one, Sham, that it talks about, that is where we all fail. which is the control of the mind. And that is the biggest barrier for us. If we have mastered our mind, that's it. That is the very, very first, the biggest ladder you have to climb to begin with. And if you have not reached an advanced stage of that, then you are not eligible for Gyan Yoga. So I'm saying the biggest barrier is your mind only. And within your mind, even bigger one is your buddhi, the intellect, which we have a lot of pride about. This Buddhi Devi is responsible for us for two things. One is not surrendering to a right guru, even though we have met so many in multiple lifetimes. Buddhi will not allow you to, okay, something, but kintu parantu will come somewhere. Everything is fine, but something, this didn't make sense. It didn't appeal to me. Or they are all the same, or kind of does not. So that is one is our buddhi. Second is our mind, because it carries a lot of impurities from so many lifetimes. So that is the biggest barrier we have. And where does this enemy of ours reside? Within us. It is like one of those sweet friends who comes just before the exam when you are studying. Chill, man, why are you taking so much of tension? Let's go do that. And they have studied their own thing. So mind is that friend, you listen to that, but with a pinch of salt, that, okay, this is one of those friends who's going to mislead me because it's not yet my friend. So this is the biggest barrier. Panchadashi also said, right? Manev manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. So the very first step for you to gain eligibility to the path of Gyan Yoga, that is where in fact, all of the people, they fail. They don't have mastery over the mind. And it is not easy to conquer our mind. It is material energy, right? Which is an action there. So it is just not difficult, easy to do that. And I'm not saying that. Let's look at it through some references. So in all of these, if we focus only on Sham, like I said, it is not possible for us. It's being ability to control the mind. Now let's take an example of Arjun. Arjun is not an ordinary person. Okay. First of all, let's revisit this concept again. Arjun was a Nar Narayan avatar. He's an eternal associate of the Lord. Okay. He's not an ordinary person. And he accompanied Krishna in his previous avatar as well, as Nar Narayan. Okay. And in that avatar, he was the Nar and Lord was Narayan. Now, Arjun, let's talk a few things about him. We know his childhood story, right? That he was able to focus on one eye of the bird. When his Guruji asked Bhim, he could see trees and even Yudhishthira and things around, and possibly Laddus also, I don't know. And when Duryodhan was asked, then he said, I can see tree this and I'm seeing Bhimsen as well. But when Arjun was asked, he said, yeah, I can only see sword. So that was the level of his focus. Plus, he was a Nar avatar. Plus, there's another story for Arjun. He went to, I think during Agyatwas, he went to Swarg, Indra. Indra is considered his father. Right? Arjun, right? Kunti had boons and Arjun came from. So Indra, when he went there, Indra thought, all right, my son has come. So for his entertainment, he sends one of his best apsaras, Urvashi, to him. And Urvashi, the story of Urvashi, basically Indra, he worshipped God and God came in front of him and he gave him a blank check. He said, okay, ask me any boon. And Indra said, okay, give me the most beautiful woman in this world. And God said, what kind of a bhondu he is? And God is asking for give me a boon, and he's saying, give me the most beautiful women on this earth. Okay. So God, anyway, he created a line of women in front of him. He said, all right, check it out and go for the one that you want to go with. And Indra settled for the very first one he saw. Right? God is presenting, so you can imagine, and that was Urvashi. So when Arjun went there, he sent Urvashi to Arjun, and she tried to entice him. And when Indra asked him, and he rejected her, because only thing that he could focus on was her feet, because she is consort of Indra, and technically he treated her like his mother. Okay, so that is who Arjun we are talking about. And the same Arjun is talking about in Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the shloka 6.34, he's saying, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramathi balavadridam, tasyaham nigraham manne vayureva sudushkaram. So have you tried to control wind? The concept itself seems very implausible. So same thing he's saying the mind is very restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate. This Arjun is saying that, not an ordinary person who's himself an avatar of Nar, right? And then his another name was Gudakesh. He could conquer sleep at will. Okay, he could go sleepless for nights and nights together. Okay, this Arjun we are talking about, and he's saying that mind is very restless. It's more difficult to control than the wind. So if Arjun is saying that, you can only imagine the state of normal, ordinary human beings or the Jivatmas that we are talking about, and that too in Kalyuga. So you really think it is practical? It is not. So next time you come across somebody who's saying Gyan Yogi, so I'm not saying you pick up a fight with them or make fun. It's basically something that in due course of time, if they come across in the association of a saint, good sense will prevail. They'll understand that on this path, especially in Kalyuga, bhakti is the way to go. You need to seek guidance from a guru, and you need to rely on God's grace to progress. On self-effort, going solo is not an option at all on this path. Okay. It is being naive. It can give you a bit of a kick for a while that you are doing something, that ego massage, you can take that ride for a while, but finally surrendering to God and finding a guru is the way to go in this path. Any questions so far before I move further? Now the question is, what do we do basically? And what is Lord Krishna's verdict on it? Anything so far? Anybody?
Yeah. There's a question in chat from Ashutosh. He's asking, is this dam different than the one comes in Sam Dam Dandbhed?
Is this what?
Dam different than the one which comes in Sam Dam Dandbhed?
Oh, that is Dam. Sam Dand. No, that is Sam Dand.
Sam Dam Dandbhed.
Dham, I think. Sam Dam. That is Dam, not Dam. Dam is Daman. Right? It's a Hindi word, Daman. When you do Daman, means you restrain somebody forcefully. And Brahmaji had also given that Dam. The, right? I keep on telling that time and again. So to the people in celestial abode, he had said Dam. To people in Mrityulok, he had said Dan. And to people in nether regions, in hellish abodes, he had said Daya. So the Dam for celestial abodes was restrain. Restrain your senses, right? If you want to eat Rasgulla, then you have to make an effort to do that. In Swarglok, you just think of Rasgulla, you'll get the taste. You don't have to even take the effort of doing that, right? Devatas and those people are so, what do you call that? Their bodies are so beautiful and radiant, and we have all been through those janmas, by the way, okay? So if any of the Devatas would descend in front of us, we will get intoxicated and maybe even fall down just by the aroma of their body. That is how it is. So for those people, the challenge is a different one. How much restraint they can exercise when they get that. So when we go to Swarglok, or if we, through our wishes, we send our ancestors to Swargloks, it becomes a very bad problem to have because restraint becomes a big challenge. Your enjoyment is unlimited. And it is a bhogyoni. You don't even incur karma there. You just enjoy and come back. Right? It's like a hospitality to a 5-star for an extended period of time, and then you're back to ghetto in Bombay. Right? You might even become an ant after that. So it's very difficult, precarious situation to be in. So Dam is basically restraining the senses, control of the senses. Don't fall for things because material, right? They say like lakho mehfil jahan mein yuto teri mehfil si mehfil nahi hai. So the mehfils of this world are also very, very enticing if you don't have proper gyan, right? The mehfil of Maya we saw, bhukti, there are so many levels of bhukti itself, right? Even the Prajapati, Brihaspati, all the way up to Brahmaji, that pleasures can keep on multiplying. And even in earth, you can imagine if somebody makes you a president of this planet, or let's say a billionaire, or somebody really influential, that itself can corrupt us or intoxicate us. So Dam is a very, very great virtue to have regardless. Even in the path of bhakti, if things start happening, Dam is a very, very good virtue to have. So all the virtues that we spoke about, you will acquire those as well. It's not that they are not needed on the path of bhakti. You need all of those as well. Those are Devik goods you will acquire as you go along. These Devik goods, the prakatya or the proportion of these Devik goods should increase over time in you when you are on the path of bhakti with God's grace. But in the path of Gyan, you need to first have a baseline in each one of these to even harbor any ambitions of progressing on the path of Gyan Yoga. Shankaracharya said, you first do this and then come to me. Then how to do that? That is out of syllabus, okay, in the preachings, because you have to be at that stage and then you start approaching on the path of Gyan. So that is why. And now let's look at any other questions. I see one more hand raised. Before I wanted to move, I'll show you something interesting. Maybe some of you already know that, but punarukti or some repetition that has happened in Bhagavad Gita only in one place. So we'll review that. And Lord Krishna, he, right, he doesn't waste words. So if he has reiterated something, it must be something very interesting and something very important. Yes, let's hear.
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe, could you please explain about Vidyamaya Vidyamaya?
Sorry, I will not. Absolutely not. We'll take a separate session for that. Okay, it is out of syllabus for me for today. But let me give you a quick thing on that. I think it goes much deeper than that. But whatever I have been able to grasp, I'll have to spend a bit of a time on that to really get into the technicalities of it. Okay, but what I've understood is the Rajas and Rajas aspect you can conquer, and within Sattva there are components part of it, right? So the pride is probably the Mahan and Ahankar Tattva. I guess they belong to the Vidya Maya. So you cannot get over that. That Sukshma pride will remain, and those traces of Maya, right? If you look at it, the primordial or the primeval form is like what Purusha glances at Prakriti, and through Prakriti comes the Mahan Tattva, through Mahan comes the Ahamkar, through Ahamkar comes manifest the Gunas, and then the Panch Tanmatras, and through Panch Tanmatras comes the Panch Mahabhut, right? And through Panch Mahabhut, we get the bodies and the souls enter. So within that, if you look at it, the Mahan and Ahamkar Tattva, right? Those I believe belong to the Vidyamaya aspect of it and cannot be conquered by your self-effort alone. But I'll clarify it and get an exact answer for you on that. But as far as I've understood, this is what it is. From our understanding standpoint, let's simply understand that you cannot conquer Maya, certain aspects of Maya, without surrendering to God. Okay, you can go up to a certain stage through your self-effort. That much slack or discount God gives us. But beyond that, you'll have to surrender to Mayadhish in order to conquer that. It's just like going to somebody's house. The dog, Blackie or the Smoky, is all over you. Right? You try to sneak in through the back door and Smoky will come there. Then you think, okay, maybe I'll get smart and come through the window. The Smoky will come there as well. The best thing is you simply go to the owner and they'll say Smoky, and Smoky will start wagging his tail and sit down. Similarly, this Maya is like that Smoky. No matter what you do, it will find you. Okay. And those dogs who are over excited and over enthusiastic, you know how it can happen sometimes, right? No matter where you go, they'll find you. Yes, Samji, you had another question? Okay, this is a thumbs up. It's much better than
Shirabaji had a question, bhai. Can I take it?
Sure, yeah.
Shirabaji is asking, the $1 billion question still remains open. What's the step-by-step formula to control the mind?
What is step-by-step formula to?
Control the mind. Control the mind.
Control the bike.
Mind.
Oh, step-by-step Maya. No, that's a good question. So Krishna in next one, he's answered this as well, right? If you look at it, Arjun asks him question and then Krishna does not come back and say, Arjun, what kind of a stupid question it is, or are you kidding me? Krishna says, Asanshayam hi mahabhaho. He's saying, no doubt what you are saying is right? And then next step, he goes on to say, Mana durnigraham chalam. He says that it is difficult but not impossible. And then he goes on to add, Abhyasena tu kante vairagyen cha griyate. Through practice and detachment, you can control this mind. So if Krishna is saying that, Shri Ramyaji, we have to trust him on that. Right? Saints have done it. That means he's given the formula and we simply have to trust him and practice that. Through practice and detachment, And the path of bhakti, anyways, if you do certain practices, he will make it happen for you. So let me move on to the next slide and we'll come back to that. Let's look at these two shlokas and you have to tell me. It's a bit of an, optical quiz for you, and it's very difficult. Okay, so it will take a lot of effort to identify what is interesting in both of these shlokas. Jyoti is very fast. Yes, Jyoti, go ahead.
I think you, Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
So I have a question. You might have answered this question in other sessions, but you have mentioned that you can practice detachment. So how can a person, so sometimes we try, but again we go back to maybe because we have nature of going back to old self, so it becomes difficult. So is there any way, or what could be the best method to practice detachment?
So who do you want to get detached to first? Tell me that. Could be anybody. Okay.
No, not anything in particular, but in general we have a habit of getting detached, getting attached to material world. So
See, Swamiji tells us very beautifully. How did you become attached to somebody to begin with? Were you born with that attachment? Certain
no.
umbilical cord relationship with mother is there, understand. But other than that, why did you get attached to begin with something? Right? Some people get attached to house, some car, some with some relative, some for some person. How does that process happen? This process happens if you fundamentally break it down from a psychological standpoint. You contemplate happiness in that person. You think this person is going to give me happiness, security, some self-interest will get fulfilled through that person, right? And when you keep on repeatedly thinking about that, then it becomes an attachment. You keep on repeating in your head, this person is going to give me happiness, this relationship is going to give me happiness, he's my father, he's my mother, he's my son, he's my this, he's my that. So that thing becomes part of your subconsciousness, and you have thought so much about it that it becomes a natural attachment there. And then you have to unlearn. Those neural channels have already been formed. And how do you do detachment? You do reverse chintan. All right, these are all temporary relationships. Everybody
Okay.
has their self-interest. My real relative is God. God is happiness. The happiness that I've been seeking since time eternity actually lies in God. The direction in which I'm running is going to give me disappointment in long run. So you start doing chintan, contemplation around it. Through proper knowledge and practice, you can reverse that chintan. Similarly,
Okay.
you develop attachment. Now you can develop attachment on the other side, and detachment will automatically happen, right? You may think that this relationship is going to give me happiness, but when you know, no, nobody has an ability to do that. They are also out of their self-interest. The day I become an impediment to their self-interest, the relationship will start shaking. They are not going to accompany me in my afterlife. God is my He's the one who's going to accompany me. And when you start tasting spiritual rus as you progress, it will solidify that faith. And you will be able to experience it, and you say, no, what I'm feeling right now, I had never tasted something like this in material world, in whatever I have done. That itself will be the proof.
Okay.
So reverse chintan, like the way you develop attachment, similarly you develop detachment, dispassion with proper knowledge. So like think of it, we have that ability. So if you are very hungry, let's say you were fasting, okay, for 10, and you are very fond of gulab jamun. So the very thought of gulab jamun will make your mouth salivate. Wow, when the fast is going to get over, I'm just going to sink my teeth into that hot gulab jamun. When the fast is getting over, somebody brings that gulab jamun to you, right? And you can't really wait. A lot of attachment, the pleasure that you're going to get out of it, right? That you've been contemplating upon, and the to bring it to your mouth, that aha moment is about to come. Somebody tells you whom you trust, hey, there is poison in it. You will immediately throw it away. That have an ability to develop detachment when you are intellectually convinced this is not good for me. But right now, the state in which we are in, we are not intellectually convinced because of our repeated practice of lifetimes that there is no happiness in this world. We still keep seeking it in little ways here and there because we're not fully convinced as yet. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Nitinji.
Thank you so much.
I give a short answer to long questions, so hopefully it's not very confusing. Okay.
We have few hands. Can we take them?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Pallavi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Pallavi ji.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe Shyam ji.
Long time no see, Pallavi ji.
Yes. Nitin ji, I'll try to answer this question. Very, very interesting. So it looks like 18.65 is extension of 9.34. Supreme Lord Krishna is saying that in 18.65 that Prati Jani is like he's promising. So in the first verse in 9.34, he is saying that if you worship me, you are devoted to me, you always think of me, then you will come to me. But in 18.65, he is promising that you will definitely come to me. So I promise that you will come to me if you do that. So
wonderful, very true. Any other optics which are standing out right now? Beautiful point, Pallavi ji.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. We have Padma ji. Padma ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. This is in Hindi, not this, but the question. I will attempt the question. We are so conditioned with our mind to seek the materialistic thing, from the childhood. Since the second that we are born, we need to be fed, we need to be bathed, we need to be changed, we need to be taken care of, we need to be trained to walk, we need to be trained to educate ourselves, we need to train ourselves to be successful. So all that training process, there is a dependency that we develop and build, whether it's person, let's say the child builds a relationship with the mother, that they will protect them in danger, they will guide them when something happens, they will support them, they will feed them, they will bathe them. So there is the dependency between human beings, whether it is emotional dependency, psychological dependency, or any kind of dependency. And to a certain extent, when the child is growing, they will have the dependency over, from the parent. But eventually, when we transition after a certain age, when we are completely capable of thinking ourselves and discriminate for ourselves, which is what God has given for human beings, slowly, if we dovetail the dependency that we have towards another human being or situation, person, husband, kids, whatever the dependency that we have, the dependency of financial security, the dependency of having a house, the dependency of having a car, that dependency, when we start giving that responsibility to God, say, it is nobody, no human being can take care of me. You are my caretaker. Please take care of me and help me love you. That piece, the second piece is help me love you. What that second piece does for us is that apprehensions and fears of transitioning into depending on a person and the situation, and switching between the person and the situation, and actually depending on the God when we are not ready to take that step, when we are fearful to take that step, that fear, he will take care of that fear part, and he will take care of our dependency. Slowly the dependency is actually put at the lotus feet of the God who is the eternal father and the mother. So he will take care of our needs. He might not able to take care of our greeds, but he will definitely take care of our needs, and we should be ready with it, that we should be okay to accept the needs that he's providing for you, and he's willing to take care of you. Switch that slow dependency that we have in the mind, that I depend only on you, I don't depend on anybody for financial thing, I don't depend on anybody for the house. So when the dependency, when we can take that U-turn and slowly take those baby steps, and with devotion and bhakti, he will give you what you need, not greed but need.
Beautiful point. It's the Narad Bhakti Darshan Sutra, right? Ananyam Ashrit. God says, just be dependent on me. That's what happened in the case of Draupadi also, right? She was dependent first on her husbands, right? That they are going to come to her rescue, then on her elders, then on her own strength. And when she let go of everything and became dependent on God, right? Dwarkadhish, and she just cried it out, and Ambar Avatar immediately happened. So God says, it's a very advanced stage of surrender if we can do that. But we have to, I think that's what our Guru and God keep on telling us, keep on increasing your surrender. Finally, it will be like, okay, I'm totally dependent on you. And it is said that God has done provision. In Hindi, it is called intizam for do waqt ki roti for everybody, including all the birds, insects, and everyone, right? Even an ant is inspired to go and catch a cashew, right? It's not going out for an evening walk and then it comes across a cashew. Something is inspiring us, right? In our backyard, there's a rabbit, they come, I don't know how they make their way in. Somebody's inspiring them, go get your next food from there, right? Swamiji tells the story in his Banara ashram, there are elephants. They come and they eat all the cabbages there. And elephants, right, they have a memory. God has given them everything that is needed for their survival. You know what kind of a memory they have? They will go to 365 different places on 365 days and they will remember the route. That, okay, now last day I went to this route. So tomorrow people will be prepared for me. So I have to go to another route. And they will keep changing 365 routes. And their memory is so strong that if you have thrown a stone at him, after 20 years also, elephant can come and slap you. So God has given unique abilities to everybody, and even for humans, unless of course we have decided not to do anything with the able body, hands, intellect that God has endowed us with, God actually takes care of our needs. Do waqt ki roti is taken care for everybody. But humans are the only species which accumulate beyond what they need. Have you seen birds stocking up stuff? Yeah, ants do that for the sake of their winters, just so that they have protection. But humans are the only one who keep on worrying about their future and the grand future, right? They say, like in Hindi, there is a saying, "Kaware hote poton ki chinta honi shuru ho jati hai," and only humans are the ones. Right? Even before getting married, they are getting worried about their grandchildren. So that is something to be learned from other species as well. But yes, so Padmaji, great point. And this practice, where you become anyonyashrit, is the word which is used in Narad Bhakti Darshan, where God says, be dependent solely on me, rest upon me, and then I'll take care of it and provide for you. And people who practice that, or for some reason gotten an opportunity to practice that because of the prevailing situation, they will certify it works in magical ways for sure. All right, any optics on this particular shlokas that I was bringing up? Anybody wanted to add anything to it? I wanted to have a bit of a discussion on that before we move further.
Sandhya ji, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Just wanted to mention this word as well, Priyo Asi. So dear to me. That's
Beautiful.
what Krishna.
So
Yeah.
first of all, becoming dear to Krishna is a very, very attractive proposition, right? When God says, will become dear to me, it's like, who will not want it to happen? Very true. That's one part of it. So the key thing is, if you look at it, this shloka and this shloka, let me do that. You know what? This line is repeated. So I'm surprised nobody caught it. Man manam.
Sam ji said that.
Oh,
She
she said
was, yeah.
Maybe I thought she's asking Vidya Maya and Vidya Maya, so I didn't hear that.
She was the first to notice this. She said,
That's good.
same line for both the shlokas.
Very nice, Samji. So yes, he has used it twice. And this is the only line which has been used twice in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So what Lord Krishna is saying in this is, always think of me, be devoted to me, worship me, offer obeisance to me. Doing so, you will certainly come to me. This is my pledge to you, for you are very dear to me. It is a pledge God is making. So always think of me. Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmar is the aspired state for all of us. So it's not like when we do our work, we have done our work and then we say, Krishna is Samarpanam Astu. Now I offer it to you, God. It is the consciousness while doing that work that, who is given me this life. I am the Anshi, or the part of God. I need to serve him to the best of my abilities for his pleasure. So that consciousness is what we are being asked to inculcate by Guru and God. And when you do that, Krishna's promise is that you will certainly come to me. This is my pledge to you. If we can just reach that stage in our mind, that's it. That is all is needed. It's so simple and yet so difficult, right? Because of the negative training we we have done to our mind. So he says it's a promise, and he's saying it's very dear to me. So they're very strong words used by God. And God is making a promise, then of course, right? You just have to practice it and you will be a done deal. In fact, one of Shri Maharajji's initial pracharikas, not pracharika, I think, yeah, Maharajji had asked one of the persons, she was probably the queen of some place in Rajasthan, to come to Vrindavan. And he told her to come with 2 jodi kapda and 2 anna in his hand. Okay, so this lady, she thought, all right, let me put some extra and let me put some extra money because it's a long journey. We never know what I'll need on the way. So instead of 2 anna or whatever Maharajji had told her, she put some extra money, extra cash and extra clothes. And then on the way, she had to take bath. So when she went for her bath in a river, the monkey came, picked up the clothes and the money she was carrying and went off or threw it in the river or something happened. When she came back, she retrieved, she was left with 2 annas and 2 jodi clothes, is what she was told. Then she dawned on her that, she was told she did not have that faith. And finally, of course, she was able to complete her journey with that, and rest is history. But what I'm trying to tell here is that surrender aspect of leaning more and more on God over time and not having that false faith on our insurance, our money, bank balance, relatives, and all that stuff is something we need to practice. We can talk about how do we practice that and go. Now, in this case, God is bringing in this concept of think of me. It's a devotion aspect of it. Bhakti is like what? Union. Bhakti is a Hindi word. When you separate something, bhakti means you are always associated with God. There's not even a break of a single second there. It's like our own consciousness. Do we ever forget that I am a boy or I'm a girl or I'm so and I'm so? Even mother, even when she's teaching in the class, she'll never forget that she's a mother. So that consciousness is so deeply embedded in us that becomes tesham satata yuktanam, continuous flow, like the oil drops. There's no break in between. That is what God is saying. Reach that stage and then you will achieve more. So this line is repeated twice in Bhagavad Gita. You can make a note of it, and this is what it means. Okay? No other shloka or line is repeated in Bhagavad Gita. God doesn't waste words. So if he has done a repetition, it's not a literary mistake. Like in literature, they say punarukti or repetition happens. It's not by mistake. It is to emphasize how important it is. You can make a note of it. I think this is the practice we need to do. Right? Hari Guru Bhajnit Govind Radhe Prem Nishkam Ananya Banate. So that is the whole game basically here. And in Bhakti, I think the bhajan was there, right? We were talking about you keep on rejecting everything, Bhukti, Mukti also, right? Saat Swarg, Panch Apvarg Thukrayenge, Radhe Radhe Gayenge. This is what devotee says. He says all the 7 abodes I will reject. And even the 5 kinds of liberations I will reject. Okay, and we will just go for the divine love of God. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
I had a request. Probably you could sing a bhajan.
Today is Payalji's turn, okay?
Yeah, I guess both of you. It will be like a treat for us.
See, I'm not such a good singer, so I don't want to get exposed. So, but let me think about it. Let's have Payalji get started. So let's make announcements first. We'll do that.
We have few announcements.
Is it for the end where we can have a little bit of bhajans, a few lines? So maybe we can cap up our sessions with that. That might be good practice. But let's make the announcements and please fill in the feedback tracker in the meantime, and then we'll cap it off with some beautiful lines, maybe a bhajan. And I would encourage you, if you prepare for it, please put it in the feedback tracker, reach out to me. We should cap off all of our sessions with a nice few lines. I think it'll be a nice way to end the session, right? So let's do that.
Yeah,
I'll sing 2 lines. Okay, let me think about it in the meantime.
It is right. Shri Rambhaji is asking, what's the difference in the second lines of both the shlokas? What's the difference? Second lines.
Yeah, we will get into the details of that. It's basically a little bit of a difference in that because one is in 18th chapter, earlier is a little earlier, right? So basically in both the cases, God is saying, if you think about me, then you will come to me. Let's just leave it at that. We'll get into the deeper discussion of both the shlokas, maybe in tomorrow's session on one of the sessions. So not much of a difference, but the key point here is the continuous or the constant remembrance is what he's reiterating upon. And then he's saying that you will definitely come to me if you reach that stage. Okay.
Yeah.
Announcements you can make.
Tracker is already posted. So please fill in the feedback, your comment sessions. And then we have Janmashtami starting in Dallas from 6th of August. It goes up to 21st of August. And then we have Swamiji's week-long program of Science of Happiness. It starts from August 20th to August 26th. Then we have the famous Dallas retreat on the weekend of September 3rd to 5th. 3 main events happening. So Janmashtami, the first one starting from 6th of August. Please feel free to come in person at Dallas RKT Temple.
Yes, please come over to Dallas. We'd love to meet you in person. Shyamji is already coming, so do plan to meet all of us here, okay, when you're here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Janmashtami time, we have a lot of things happening around Dallas, around RKT at the time of the year.
Yes, I wanted to add that this time, the first time, we are going to do an exhibition, which is going to be a very unique concept. Like in India, you might be used to jhankis. Here, we are going to put an exhibition of different leelas that Lord Krishna did. And we are going to do a live leela as well, like Ram Leela. We are going to do Krishna Leela and a lot of events. It's going to be an elaborate, extended celebration and a lot of festivities coming around. If you're in or around Dallas, or the good thing now is you can catch up online as well. I think most of those things will be aired as well. So keep looking out for that and help us spread the word around as well. That is a little bit of seva you all can do.
Yeah.
Fill out the feedback tracker. If you have anything or if you want to sing, bring in something, let me know. I think this concept of singing a few things from Maharajji's bhajan loaded with devotion and Tattva is a very good way to wrap up our sessions. And today I heard, a beautiful rendition from Payal. So I was like, it is so nice. So let's hear from her. And I can recite a couple of lines as well. Anybody else? You're there. Since we don't have a time pressure today, please feel free to prepare your and we can sing it now that we have covered the session today. So
Samji is asking, is Nirvan going to be a Krishna?
Who's going to be Krishna?
Is Nirvana? Samji, can you please ask yourself?
Yeah, I understood her question. Yeah, he's been stereotyped. So yes, this time again, he's been picked up, although he's having a hard time, having to continue to smile, but we are kind of negotiating with him. So yes, he will be.
His name is Nivan, right? Or Niman?
Yeah.
Nivan, okay.
Only complaint is, why do I have to smile so much? And he thoroughly enjoyed becoming Kans, because all he had to do was fight his anger there.
Actually, he has become Gora Krishna, not Shyam Sundar. In the last time Krishna Leela that he played.
Yeah, we will.
White Krishna, modern Krishna.
The good thing is at least he hears us until now. I don't know for how long it will continue. So we'll continue making him Kans, Krishna, whatever he wants to become for as long as he hears us. So yes, this time also he's becoming that little one. Yeah. Okay, are we good then? So Payalji, all yours. Now the stage is all yours. Please go ahead. It was
Pallaviji's hand raised. Yeah.
Yes, Pallaviji, you want to sing as well? You see, Sandhya ji, I've heard she's very nice. She sings really nicely. Pallaviji, I know she sings very nicely. Payalji, I've heard, and we have our Antakshari team here. They are the unsung heroes here. All of them can sing really nice. Sandhya started singing, and Rahul and Shefali and Jyoti, I'm sure she can do that as well. So if you want to sing, if you want to bring in a few lines, please do. It's a very good way to do a bit of kirtan as well that way. Like that's probably the missing thing in our sessions right now. We can do a little bit of kirtan towards that. I was thinking I should bring a dholki as well and start doing a bit of a satsang around that.
So Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everyone. I just wanted to share first that I had opportunity to meet you in person, Sandhya ji, and I spent so much time with you in the temple, in the Radha Krishna temple. And I'm really, really, really felt, I really felt so blessed to be with be in satsang of all of you. And it felt so wonderful meeting all of you in person that I can't describe in words.
It was our pleasure, Pallaviji. I loved doing the Leela part with you as well. I'm glad you could spend some time with us for that.
And I'm sorry I couldn't complete the full Gopi dance with all of you. I wish I could have done.
I'm seeing a picture right now on the screen.
Yes, thank you for sharing this wonderful photograph. Oh my God, such a memorable click. Amritvani ji, Sunil ji, me, Smita ji, Nitin ji, and Sandhya ji. What a wonderful get together.
Yes, it was a pleasure meeting you and your family, your two wonderful daughters as well. It was a very nice, catching up with all of you. So,
thank you for thank you for sharing your precious time with us. My daughters were so much impressed. Like they were so much impressed is not the word. I would like to say that they were so much inspired that that wow, they should also be doing something, and they should also get connected and learn. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great, and it's about time, Pallaviji, you moved to Dallas. Okay.
I think it is going to happen soon, I'm sure.
See, Shyamji, you have competition.
Are these all trying to instigate me? I do not know what are you trying to do to me.
I have a strong feeling that your wife will have to intervene again today. Okay. Whenever
you are all instigating me to take some unforeseen steps, and I do not know do what.
Let's talk about it, Shyamji. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. But Pallaviji is going to come here very soon, and I have a feeling you will as well. So
that would be great to come near Radha Krishna temple and come in satsang of all of you. Wow. In Hindi we say na aapke muh mein ghee shakkar.
For sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Come over, Pallaviji. You saw how beautiful deities we are, and then there is never a dull moment in our life here. Throughout the year, we have something or other going on. So it's a beautiful place. Way to keep yourself occupied throughout the year. Great. All right. So we are good for anything else?
No, it's all good. I just want to share my experience. Last evening, I just got this pop-up for this session on Morning Gems. So normally I don't log in there, but last evening I do not know why I logged in, and I was there for the entire session for an hour. Luckily, fortunately, and there was a great slideshow from, I guess, Lokesh ji. It was perfect, and then the icing on the cake was Payal ji. I was really stunned, and to my trust you, it was totally blissful. And I am not just saying to flatter people around us or Payal ji, but it was the moment to be there. I don't know out of this how many were there, but Sandhya ji was there for sure, and I was there for sure, and Payal ji, of course. It was truly blissful. If she is willing to do it again. I do not know how many times, maybe daily. I know we are on for something really mesmerizing.
Yeah, I got to hear that because it was playing somewhere. I said, "Who's doing that?" And I was like, "Wow, wonderful!" So please, all yours, Payalji, please go ahead. Let's hear that, and then we can conclude with a little bit of singing here from the rest as well. Please, all yours.
Thank you so much, Shyamji and Nitinji, for wonderful words. But I don't know whether I deserve this or not. But I would say the best nugget that I have picked up from this session is I have become a Billi ka bacha now. So I've left everything and I don't think about anything else. I just have all the time Krishna in my mind, nothing else. And earlier, singing is my habit, like hobby, and I used to sing. I have never taken any training as such, but now since I have started singing bhajans, I feel that there's been a lot of improvement in my singing. So I have started devoting my singing, I have started dedicating my songs to Krishna nowadays, and I'm really enjoying it. And I just hope you all enjoy this bhajan too.
We are all ears for you.
Okay.
श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो बन के दुल्हन आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं दर दर तुझको खोज रही, हाँ पल पल तुझको सोच रही। तेरी प्रीत में जीवन अर्पण है, मेरी भक्ति का तू तर्पण है। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। जब मधुर मुरलिया बाजेगी, अधरों पर खुशियाँ साजेगी। जब मधुर मुरलिया बाजेगी, अधरों पर खुशियाँ साजेगी। तेरी छवि जो निहारो अंतस में, तेरा वास दिखे मुझे कण कण में। तेरी छवि जो निहारो अंतस में, तेरा वास दिखे मुझे कण कण में। प्रभु आन बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो बन के दुल्हन आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। राधे राधे।
Beautiful, very nice, Rinkesh. Are you a trained singer? I mean, it was pretty nice, very touching, and loved it.
Nothing, just a hobby, Nitinji, just a hobby.
When you start doing it for God, obviously it goes to the next level, right? So
That I can feel after I started singing bhajans. I can feel the difference myself. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Radhe.
nice, very nice. Great. It's like once you have tasted the dessert again, you want to go back to the salty food, right? So
No, but we want one bhajan from you as well, Nitinji. We are waiting.
I'm not prepared for the bhajan, but yeah, I can sing maybe a couple of lines. Which one? Okay, tum mere the mere ho. I'll just sing a couple of lines from that. Okay. It's a very beautiful one. Swamiji gives a lecture on that actually. First time I heard lecture from him, and he was picking one couplet and was going on to explain it for an hour. I was like, wow, one line and he continues to explain that. So I'll just say that in a few lines. Try to do that as best as I possibly can. And then I see Padmaji had raised hand. Maybe she wants to sing a few lines. Bhaja Govindam, she sings very nice. Couple of lines and then we'll wrap it up. It's a good way to end the session, right? You got the knowledge. We contemplated on that part of it, and bit of a bhakti, it's a perfect ending, I would say. So we should try to mix it more. Tum mere the mere ho, mere rahoge, behkunab behkane se, jab samajh prem mein डूब गई, अब क्या होगा समझाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे, बहकूं ना अब बहकाने से. A couple of lines in that which I really like. One is that दे दो ऐसी विरह वेदना, दे दो ऐसी विरह वेदना, मिट जाए मम हम चेतना, अब और अधिक चमकेगा सोना, पुनि पुनि अग्नि तपाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे, बहकूं ना अब बहकाने से. That's all. We'll pick up some other one. So yeah, a lot of Tattva Gyan loaded in it. So thank you for the opportunity. Great. Anybody else who wants to recite a couple of lines, and then we can. This was a novelty. I mean, I'm enjoying it. Hope it's just the feeling is same from your end as well. So
It's perfect to end the session. I guess it's perfect. We should do this very often nowadays. I don't know. We have such a singers in our group. I don't know. We are all multi-talented. Why everybody is so pure. That's how it shows. That's God's grace or showing with us. I know this is his way of showing us. I'm with you, with all of us.
true. See, when you start doing tasks for God, right? He starts giving you, drops of things that you need, and that is what happens. But it is good. I think I'm glad we are exploring this dimension of our group, and I feel it gives a holistic thing to our discussions, right? When we mix it with bhakti in some form or manner, and reciting a few lines where different people can take initiative is a wonderful day to cap our sessions every day. Great. Yes, Padmaji, you wanted to recite a few lines as well, and then we will complete our session for today.
I'll just do probably like 3 lines just to close the session. Not trained, just from emotion. Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Dayanidhan, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Dayanidhan, Prananad Anad Sakhi, Prananad Anad Sakhi, Deen Dar Nihar, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Dayanidhan.
Very nice, Padmaji. Wonderful. Great. With that, we have come to the end of today's different session. It was a very unique session, I would say. So please motivate yourself, prepare yourself, keep listening to bhajans, pick up a few lines, let those lines grow on you. And I'm sure all of us can bring a couple of lines to the sessions. And we start with recitation and we'll end with short bhajans. Okay, let's do it that way. Great. I think knowledge and devotion both have to go hand in hand. So Bhagavad Gita has a lot of Tattva Gyan load as we go along. But if we can keep on adding the bhakti ras to it in all the sessions, it will keep us energized. That bhakti aspect. I personally miss when I don't have those shlokas where it starts becoming a little dry. So this is the perfect way to add that ras. So wonderful. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to sing as well?
I wanted to mention Asha ji's compliments for all of you. Like she said, beautiful singing, Payal ji, very nice singing, Nitin ji. and for Padma ji as well, and even Ajit ji saying nice singing. All of you are winners. Yeah, and we could also have competition someday. I don't know.
We can do that some of the days. By the way, now I'm inspired to sing 2 more lines for Ram and Krishna. Okay, it came to my mind. We keep on talking about Ram and Krishna being different, right? So one of the bhajans which is very close to my heart is the one which I tried at the temple as well. It is like this. रघुराज कहें यदुराज कहें तुम रूप अनूप दिखाते हो कभी धनुष बाण धरि आते हो कभी मुरली मधुर बजाते हो जय जय राम 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 जय जय श्याम 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 जय जय राम 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 जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम. All right, let's do our closing prayers for the day and have a blissful rest of your day and rest of your evening. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll conclude this discussion with a combination of Gyan and Bhakti. I'll pose a question and we'll go deeper into that concept, because what is needed, how much it is needed, to what proportion do we really need, right? We overemphasize knowledge, we underestimate devotion. So we'll talk about that concept tomorrow.
Shiramaji is saying that she will like to try tomorrow.
All right, sure. Yeah.
Shiramaji.
Right.
And I guess we should all encourage everybody else.
Everybody,
So
I'm telling you, everybody, and you can put it in the feedback track. We can schedule it actually. See, we spend usually 10-15 minutes, half an hour extra, right? Instead of too many discussions, we can do it, we can schedule it in a way, and it will inspire all of you to learn bhajans, go deep in devotion, and that's a wonderful idea. Please put it in feedback tracker and we'll schedule it that way.
And I would suggest that it is not a recommendation, it is a compulsion for our sake. It is not request, it is a compulsion that we all have to try and say, because it's God's way of saying us. I guess it's all his directions, his instincts, his way of saying us. We are almost there. So let's fast track our involvement there.
Kirtan, yeah, we'll do the Harinam Kirtan as much as, we'll add that to all of our sessions towards the end. Beautiful. Yes, closing prayers. Are we good for the closing prayers then?
Yes, Surendra is already there. He's the first one today. So
yes, Surendra ji,
Surendra
all yours. No competition in biology today.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu, Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much. Before the closing prayers, may I narrate 2 lines only?
Sure, sure.
सुर की गति में क्या जानूं एक भजन कर ना जानूं अर्थ भजन का भी अति गहरा उसको भी मैं क्या जानूं हरि 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 कर ना जानूं सुर की गति में. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Surendra ji. Beautiful, wonderful. See, so many people came forward today. This is a good way actually to engage, have more participation in a good way, and invoking the devotional sentiments around it. Wonderful. Let's do our closing prayers.
Ashutosh is saying he will try if he has noise-free environment, and Padma ji says she will sing Thursdays. So we already have volunteers invite. So
there you go.
Tough one for us nowadays. So we can choose people to sing for us.
The more the merrier.
Sing for God.
Yeah. So yeah, we will do it in a manner so that we can have at least 3 to 4, 4 or 5 lines each. That is a good way actually to contemplate and get that bhakti ras as well.
Yeah, we are 70 of us which come regularly. So I guess we are plenty for this time.
Yes, let's do satsang as well. Little bit of satsang will be good. Harinam Sankirtan we will add to our. That's a wonderful thing. Great. Okay, Surendra ji, all yours then.
Thank you. Thank you, Radha Radha. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhave. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Great rest of your evening and stay blessed. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you all. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.